At just 15 years old, Soichiro Honda made a choice that would define the rest of his life. He dropped out of school, leaving behind the traditional path to pursue his passion for mechanics. Little did he know, this decision would set him on a relentless journey that would turn rubble into revolution. Honda's story is one of resilience, grit, and an unyielding determination to reshape the world of mobility. Despite losing everything in the chaos of war, Honda refused to give up, building one of the most iconic brands in history. His name is synonymous with motorcycles, cars, and innovation, but few know how close he came to disappearing entirely. This is the untold story of how Soichiro Honda's refusal to quit changed the way billions of people move, work, and live. Born in 1906 in the small town of Tenryu in Japan's Shizuoka Prefecture, Soichiro Honda came from humble beginnings. His family was not wealthy, and his father, WWII Honda, worked as a blacksmith while his mother, Anna, managed the household's large garden. From a young age, Honda was surrounded by hard work and discipline, values instilled in him by his parents. Growing up in a Lutheran household, Honda learned the importance of self-reliance and the value of persistence. As a boy, he was drawn to the craft of his father, who not only made metal objects but also repaired bicycles. Honda was captivated by the tools his father used and would often spend hours trying to replicate mechanical parts with scrap metal and wood. At just 8 years old, Honda was already managing his own rows in the family garden. His mother taught him how to plant, harvest, and preserve the produce. One of their main crops was horseradish, a pungent root that grew well in the local soil. Honda learned how to process and pack horseradish into glass jars, and soon, his product began to catch the attention of local grocers. The freshness of the horseradish and the cleanliness of the jars made a lasting impression, and before long, Honda's products were in high demand. This was not just a boy's hobby. It was his first venture into the world of business, where he learned the importance of customer relationships, inventory management, and attention to detail. As he got older, Honda's ambition only grew. At the age of 12, he made the bold decision to leave school behind. He moved to Tokyo on his own to pursue his passion for automobiles. There, he found work as an apprentice mechanic at a prestigious repair shop called Art Shakai. While his peers were still sitting in classrooms, Honda was getting his hands dirty, learning how to fix cars and observe the intricacies of automobile engineering. Honda quickly realized that working as a mechanic wasn't just about repairing cars. It was about understanding how they worked and how to make them better. This period of his life marked the beginning of his journey into innovation. His apprenticeship wasn't just a job. It was an education that no formal classroom could provide. At Art Shakai, Honda wasn't merely a mechanic. He was constantly experimenting, modifying engines, and pushing the boundaries of what was possible. His work didn't go unnoticed. He began to race cars, driving them on the track and fine-tuning their performance with every trial. Racing was not just about speed for Honda, it was a challenge to improve the machines, to find new ways to push the limits of engineering. By the time he finished his apprenticeship, Honda had already proven that he wasn't just a skilled mechanic. He was a problem solver and a creator. After leaving Art Shakai, Honda worked for a time in various positions, managing different repair shops and learning more about the business side of the industry. He continued to refine his mechanical skills, but Honda wasn't satisfied with simply fixing what was already broken. He wanted to create, to build something from scratch that would change the world. At 21, Honda took his first step toward his own business. He managed a branch of Art Shakai in Hamamatsu, Japan, where he began experimenting with modifications on cars. His work was daring and creative, and he built some truly groundbreaking vehicles. In 1936, he designed a race car powered by a Curtiss aircraft engine, a daring decision that would change the course of his career. However, his first attempt at competitive racing ended in disaster. During the All-Japan Speed Rally, Honda's race car crashed violently, nearly taking his life. The crash marked the end of his racing career, but Honda's obsession with performance only grew stronger. If he couldn't win by driving, he would win by designing better machines. In 1945, Japan was in ruins. World War II had devastated the country, and Honda's factory, Tokai, was no exception. The government had redirected much of Japan's industrial efforts toward military production, and Honda's company began manufacturing aircraft engine components. Although business was booming at first, it didn't last. The bombing raids of 1944 destroyed much of Tokai's infrastructure, and a devastating earthquake in 1945 wiped out the remaining factory. Honda's company was reduced to rubble. He had lost everything. But Honda wasn't the kind of man to give up. Instead of wallowing in despair, he sold the remnants of his company to Toyota for a modest sum and used the proceeds to rebuild his life. In 1946, Honda launched the Honda Technical Research Institute with a small sum from the sale of Tokai. Starting with just 12 workers and limited resources, Honda began developing a new kind of transportation. His first product wasn't a car, but a motorized bicycle. Honda attached small engines to bicycles, creating a cheap and effective mode of transportation. The early versions were crude and inefficient, but they worked. Honda's team kept improving the design, tweaking the carburetors, adjusting the exhaust systems, and refining the balance of the bike. Honda worked tirelessly, covered in grease, but he didn't stop there. To take his business to the next level, Honda needed a partner, someone who could handle the business side of things. That's when he met Teo Fujisawa, a businessman with the skills Honda lacked. The two men formed a partnership, and in 1948, they founded Honda Motor Company. Fujisawa focused on the business and expansion, while Honda continued to push the boundaries of engineering. Their chemistry was immediate. Honda focused on design and engineering, while Fujisawa handled finance, operations, and strategy. This partnership would prove to be the catalyst for Honda's global rise. Honda's first real product, the Model A, was a motorized bicycle that became the company's first breakthrough. Despite its rough design and noisy engine, the Model A sparked interest. The public was curious, and soon the demand grew. Honda was no longer just tinkering in a shack. His dream was becoming a reality. With each new version, the bikes improved. They became quieter, lighter, and more stable. The once ridiculed motorbikes became a staple of Japanese transportation. In 1958, Honda released the Super Cub, a game-changer in the motorcycle world. The Super Cub was small, lightweight, and easy to ride, even for beginners. It was designed for the everyday person, not just the experienced rider. Its simple, efficient design made it accessible to a broad market. Honda's marketing strategy was also revolutionary. Instead of targeting rebellious motorcycle enthusiasts, Honda marketed the Super Cub as a machine for everyone: students, teachers, office workers, and families. The message was clear: you meet the nicest people on a Honda. The Super Cub became a global sensation. It broke cultural barriers and sold over 100 million units worldwide. By 1959, Honda had expanded to the United States, taking a bold step and entering a market dominated by companies like Harley-Davidson and European brands. Honda's strategy was simple: offer affordable, efficient motorcycles that fit into suburban lifestyles. And it worked. Honda's success didn't stop with motorcycles. In the early 1960s, Honda entered the automobile market with the T360 mini truck and the S500, a small sports car. While these cars weren't instant hits, they signaled Honda's serious intent to become a player in the global automotive industry. By 1972, Honda introduced the Civic, a clean, simple, fuel-efficient car that became an instant success, particularly in the United States during the oil crisis. The Civic's low fuel consumption and emission standards made it incredibly popular, and it became a cornerstone of Honda's global success. By the 1980s, Honda had cemented itself as a global force. It became the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer and a major player in the automobile industry. The company's commitment to innovation, quality, and affordability allowed it to rise above its competitors. Honda wasn't just building machines. It was changing the way people thought about mobility. Honda's story didn't end there. The company continued to innovate, pushing into new industries like robotics and aerospace. The launch of Asimo, a humanoid robot, showcased Honda's commitment to long-term, groundbreaking innovation. Today, Honda operates in over 150 countries, employs more than 200,000 people, and generates $100 billion annually. Honda's story is a testament to the power of resilience and innovation. From a small workshop in post-war Japan to a global empire, Honda's journey reminds us that success isn't about where you start, it's about how far you're willing to go. Soichiro Honda's refusal to quit, even when the odds were against him, changed the way the world moves, works, and lives. His legacy lives on in every engine, every car, and every motorcycle that bears the Honda name.